Ladies, let me tell you something about men that most people won't dare say out loud. Attraction isn't about how expensive your dress is or how perfect your makeup looks. Attraction is energy. It's a vibration you carry, a presence you own when you walk into the room. A man doesn't fall for just your looks. He falls for how you make him feel. And here's the truth. When you lean into your natural feminine power, when you embody certain habits that come from confidence, softness, and self-worth, you ignite something inside a man that he can't resist. You don't need to chase him. You don't need to beg for attention. Your energy pulls him in like a magnet. Tonight, I'm going to share with you the 5 feminine habits that trigger sexual attraction in men. Not fake tricks, not manipulation, but real, authentic habits that connect to a man's deepest instincts. Once you understand these, you'll stop wondering how to keep his attention because he won't be able to take his eyes or his heart off you. Imagine this for a second. You're at dinner with someone. The food is good, the lighting is perfect, the conversation is flowing, but something feels flat. The vibe feels heavy. Everything is serious. There's no spark, no life, no energy. Now flip that scenario. Imagine sitting across from someone who teases you about how you hold your fork, who playfully rolls their eyes at something silly you said, who laughs so hard they almost spill their drink. Suddenly, the night isn't about the restaurant, the food, or even the conversation. It's about the energy between you, that invisible spark, that buzz. That's what playful energy does. It turns an ordinary moment into something unforgettable. Men are wired to chase excitement. We're drawn to energy that feels alive, magnetic, and unpredictable. A woman who carries playful energy doesn't need to be the loudest person in the room. She doesn't need to tell the best jokes. What she does is invite a man into a moment that feels light and alive. She gives him a taste of freedom from the weight of his daily stress, his responsibilities, his endless to-do lists. And that's powerful because attraction isn't about logic, it's about emotion. He might not remember what you said word for word, but he will always remember how he felt when he was around you. Now, here's the mistake so many people make. They think attraction has to be heavy, intense, serious. They think being deep is the way to connect. But if all you ever bring to the table is heavy, serious energy, it doesn't pull someone in. It drains them. Playfulness, on the other hand, is like oxygen. It makes him feel alive. It makes him want to lean in closer. Think about it. When you're playful, you create inside jokes. You share little moments of silliness. You flirt with the world around you. That's the energy men get addicted to. Not because it's childish, but because it's liberating. Let me give you an example. You're at a cafe, and instead of sitting there silently scrolling on your phone, you notice the barista's name tag says, Superman. You nudge him and say, wow, you really ordered coffee from Clark Kent today. Does that make you Lois Lane? That small, playful moment instantly shifts the energy. It's not about being a comedian. It's about being present and finding joy in the little things. And when you show up with that playful vibe, you give him permission to drop his guard, to let go of the stiffness men often carry, and to just be human with you. And here's the beautiful thing. Playfulness doesn't just trigger attraction. It builds connection. Because when you're playful, you're not afraid of looking a little silly, a little imperfect. That shows confidence. That shows comfort in your own skin. And confidence, wrapped in laughter, is magnetic. Think about the people in your own life you love being around. Chances are, it's not because they always say the most profound, serious things. It's because they make you laugh. They make life feel lighter. They give you energy instead of draining it. That's exactly what playful energy does for attraction. Now, let's get real here. Playful energy doesn't mean you're always on. It doesn't mean you're constantly cracking jokes or forcing fun. It's about attitude. It's about the way you smile when he teases you, the way you give him a look that says, I'm onto you, the way you exaggerate a story just to make it more fun. It's about being in the moment instead of being in your head, because let's face it, so many people are stuck in their heads, overthinking, worrying, analyzing every little move. That kills attraction. Playful energy pulls you out of your head and puts you in the moment. And when you're in the moment, he feels it. Men can't resist a woman who makes life feel like an adventure, not a chore. That's why so many men say they're drawn to women with good vibes. They're not just talking about someone who's always positive. They mean someone who can create those playful, magnetic moments that stick in his memory. Because here's the truth, you can be the most stunning person in the room, but if you carry an energy that feels heavy or joyless, attraction fades fast. But if you carry an energy that's playful, light, and alive, even an ordinary moment like grocery shopping or sitting in traffic becomes something unforgettable. Think about it. You could be sitting in the car in a traffic jam. Most people would complain, roll their eyes, get irritated. But the playful woman turns up the music, sings terribly on purpose, and gets him to join in. Suddenly, what could have been a miserable memory turns into one of those moments he thinks about weeks later with a smile. That's how powerful playful energy is. It transforms the ordinary into the extraordinary. And let me say, this being playful is not about performing. It's about authenticity. It's about showing him that you're comfortable enough with yourself to be light, to be silly, to let go of perfection. That authenticity is what triggers attraction, because men don't fall in love with the mask you wear. They fall in love with the real you. And the real you, when you allow her to shine, is magnetic. So if you want to trigger attraction, if you want him to feel that irresistible pull toward you, don't underestimate the power of playful energy. It's not about playing games. It's about bringing life into the moment. It's about showing up with a spark that lights him up inside. And trust me, when you embody that, he won't just want to be around you. He'll crave it. Because playful energy isn't just attractive. It's unforgettable. When people hear the word sensual, they often confuse it with sexual. But the two are very different. Sexuality is an act. Sensuality is an energy. Sensual presence is the art of being fully in your body, fully in the moment, fully alive in the way you carry yourself. It's not about being overtly provocative, and it's not about trying too hard. It's about allowing your natural feminine energy to radiate through your presence. Think about this. Have you ever been in a room where someone walked in and didn't say a word, but everyone felt their presence? That sensual presence. It's not about what you're wearing. It's not about what you say. It's about the energy you exude without speaking. It's in the way you walk slowly instead of rushing, the way you take a breath before answering a question, the way your eyes lock with his for half a second longer than expected. That subtle, deliberate way of existing draws people in without force. Men are deeply visual, yes, but what really captures them is not just what they see, it's what they feel from you. Sensual presence is when your movements and your energy send the message. Or I am comfortable in my skin. I am here. I am confident. And let me tell you something, confidence wrapped in sensuality is a magnetic force that men can't resist. Here's an example. Imagine you're walking into a meeting, a date, or even just a cafe. Most people rush in, grab their seat, check their phone, bury themselves in distraction. That doesn't pull anyone in. But the woman who walks in, shoulders back, head high, moving slowly with awareness, she doesn't need to say a word. People feel her energy before she even speaks. That is sensual presence. It tells the world, I belong here. I don't need to rush. I don't need to prove myself. I am. Let's go deeper. Sensual presence shows up in the smallest details. The way you play with your hair when you're listening, the way you gently touch his arm when you laugh, the way you lean in just slightly when you're engaged in the conversation. It's not about being fake or calculated. It's about being intentional with your body language and allowing it to reflect your confidence. Men notice these micro moments more than you realize. They're not consciously analyzing them, but they feel it. And that feeling is what sticks. Here's the thing. A man doesn't want a woman who's just there. He wants to experience her. He wants to feel her energy when she's across the room, not just when she's talking. And that's where sensual presence becomes so powerful. Because when you're fully in your body, when you're not fidgeting, not rushing, not hiding, you radiate a grounded energy that says, I'm in control of me. I'm not desperate for your attention, but I'm open if you step closer. That balance of confidence and openness is irresistible. Think of a time when you've been on a date and the conversation itself wasn't particularly mind-blowing, but you couldn't stop thinking about the way he looked at you, the way he leaned in, the energy he carried. That's presence. Now flip it. When you embody sensual presence, You make him feel that same magnetic pull without even trying. It's not what you say, it's how you make him feel when you're there. Another example, you're in a grocery store aisle, reaching for something on the top shelf. Most people would just grab it and move on. But a woman with sensual presence doesn't rush. She reaches gracefully, maybe even asks for help in a way that invites a man to step in. Suddenly, an ordinary moment turns into an interaction filled with energy and possibility. That's the power of slowing down, of being aware of your body and how it communicates without words. And here's the secret. Sensual presence is not about performance. It's not about trying to be sexy. In fact, the moment you try to be sexy, it feels forced, and forced energy pushes people away. True sensual presence is effortless because it comes from within. It comes from self-awareness, from grounding yourself, from breathing and being fully present. It's when you stop performing and start allowing your natural essence to shine through. Men don't fall in love with the woman who's trying the hardest. They fall for the woman who's simply being. The woman who's not worried about whether her laugh was too loud or whether her lipstick is perfect. She's too focused on enjoying the moment, on being in her body, on feeling alive. That kind of energy is contagious. When you embody it, you don't just attract men, you attract opportunities, respect, and admiration from everyone around you. Sensual presence is power. It's subtle, but it lingers. A man may forget your exact words, but he will remember the way you walked into that room, the way your energy felt like gravity, pulling him in, the way your presence demanded his attention without saying a word. So here's the truth. When you embrace your sensual presence, you don't need to chase attention. Attention comes to you. You don't need to force attraction. Attraction becomes natural because sensual presence isn't just about triggering desire. It's about embodying the kind of feminine energy that makes a man feel alive, curious, and deeply drawn to you. And once you master that, he won't just notice you. He'll crave being around you again and again. There's something powerful about a woman who knows how to receive. It's rare, and because it's rare, it's magnetic. Most people don't realize that attraction isn't built through chasing or trying too hard. It's built in the space where one gives and the other allows themselves to receive. And when a woman embodies the art of receiving instead of chasing, she awakens something primal in a man. Men are hunters by nature. Deep inside, they crave the challenge, the pursuit, the chase. That doesn't mean you have to play hard to get or manipulate him. It simply means that when you allow him to step into his masculine role of giving, you light up his desire to earn you, to invest in you, to prove himself worthy of your attention. When you chase, you rob him of that instinct. But when you receive, you activate it. Think about it. Imagine two scenarios. In the first, you're texting him nonstop, making all the plans, overgiving, constantly proving your interest. He may enjoy the attention, but does he value it? Probably not. In the second scenario, you lean back. You allow him to initiate. You show appreciation when he plans, when he gives, when he invests. You're open to receiving, but you don't scramble to secure his effort. Suddenly, he feels a fire inside. He wants to win your time, your affection, your heart. That difference is everything. Let me give you a daily life example. A man offers to carry a heavy grocery bag. One type of woman says, "No, I got it," brushing it off as if accepting help is weakness. Another woman smiles, lets him carry it, and simply says, "Thank you, that was sweet." Guess which woman ignites his attraction? The one who received. Because when you receive, you're not only allowing him to give, you're acknowledging his effort, you're validating his role, you're inviting him to step into his strength. Now, don't misunderstand me. Receiving is not about being passive. It's not about sitting back, doing nothing, and expecting the world to serve you. It's about balance. It's about understanding that feminine power doesn't chase, it attracts. A queen doesn't run after a man. She creates an environment where he naturally wants to step closer. And she does that by knowing her value, standing in it, and allowing his efforts to reach her. Let me paint another picture. You're out on a date, and he insists on paying for dinner. The woman who insists, "No, I'll split it," thinks she's being independent. But in reality, she's blocking the flow of giving and receiving. The woman who receives gracefully says, "Thank you, I really appreciate this." She doesn't take advantage, but she allows the gesture to land. That small moment triggers something deep inside him. This woman lets me give to her. This woman allows me to step up. And men love stepping up. They love the feeling of providing, protecting, giving, not because they see you as weak, but because when they give to you and you receive it with grace, they feel purposeful, they feel valuable. And when a man feels valuable around you, attraction grows stronger and stronger. Here's the trap many people fall into chasing. When you chase, you think you're proving your worth. You think, if I do more, he'll see how amazing I am. But the truth is, chasing communicates lack. It says, I don't believe I'm worthy of receiving, so I'm going to overcompensate by giving and giving until you notice me. That energy kills attraction, because a man doesn't fall in love with the woman who gives the most. He falls in love with the woman who knows her worth and allows herself to receive. Think about your own life. How many times have you felt drained because you were giving too much to someone who didn't give back? That exhaustion comes from chasing. But the moments you leaned back, allowed someone to show up for you, allowed them to give, didn't it feel lighter? Didn't it feel natural? That's the difference between forcing and flowing. Here's the secret: receiving is actually an act of generosity. When you allow someone to give to you, you're giving them the gift of feeling significant, of feeling like their effort mattered. Men remember those moments. They remember the smile on your face when you accepted their help, the warmth in your voice when you said thank you, the softness in your energy when you let them lead. Those moments stick because they tap into his deepest instinct to pursue, to provide, to give. And let's be real, when you know how to receive, you set the standard. You show him what kind of woman you are. You're not the woman who runs after crumbs of attention. You're the woman who attracts effort, who inspires a man to rise to the occasion. You're the woman who makes him feel alive when he gives to you. And that is what makes you unforgettable. So remember this: chasing drains attraction, but receiving multiplies it. Receiving doesn't make you weak. It makes you magnetic. Because when you allow him to give, when you let him invest, when you accept with grace, you don't just trigger attraction, you trigger devotion. And devotion is the foundation of love that lasts. There's something unforgettable about a woman who knows how to express what she feels. I'm not talking about someone who unloads every thought without filter, or someone who turns every moment into high drama. I'm talking about emotional expression, the kind that reveals your humanity, your depth, and your authenticity. When you can share your joy, your gratitude, your excitement, even your vulnerability with a man, you open a door to connection that words alone could never create. Men are not mind readers. And yet, so often, women hide their emotions in fear of being too much, too needy, or too vulnerable. They hold back their excitement, they hide their disappointment, they suppress their affection. But here's the truth: the very thing you're holding back is the very thing that makes you magnetic. Emotional expression is what gives a man a roadmap to your soul. It tells him who you are, what you value, and how he can connect with you on a deeper level. Think about it. Have you ever been around someone who was flat? No matter what happened, their response was the same. No joy, no spark, no warmth. It feels like talking to a blank wall. You don't remember those people. They disappear from your memory. Now contrast that with someone who reacts fully, who lights up when you say something funny, who smiles with their eyes when you surprise them, who says, "That means so much to me," when you do something kind. Those people stick. Those people make you feel alive. That's the power of emotional expression. Let's take a simple daily life example. Imagine he shows up with your favorite snack after work. The emotionally guarded woman might say, "Oh, thanks," and move on. But the emotionally expressive woman smiles big. Her eyes widen. She says, "You remembered. That means a lot to me." Which one do you think makes him feel connected? Which one makes him want to do more? Of course, it's the second, because emotional expression validates effort, it deepens intimacy, and it encourages more of the behavior you want. And here's the beautiful thing: it's not just about expressing the good emotions. Vulnerability is attractive too. When you share that you had a rough day, when you admit you're nervous before a big presentation, when you let him see a tear slip down your cheek during a movie, that doesn't push him away. It pulls him closer, because it reminds him you're human, not a robot. It gives him permission to open up, too. And that exchange of authenticity is where intimacy is born. Too many people think being strong means being unshakable. But true strength is the ability to express emotion without fear of judgment. A man doesn't fall in love with your perfection. He falls in love with your realness. And that realness shows up when you let your guard down and say, this touched me, this hurt me, this excites me. It's not weakness, it's courage. Let me give you another example. You're on a date and he cracks a joke. One woman gives a polite smile, maybe a small laugh. The other bursts into laughter, playfully hits his arm, her joy spilling out naturally. Which one do you think he remembers? The woman who held back, or the woman who fully expressed how she felt? Men are drawn to the woman who makes them feel like their effort has an impact. Emotional expression tells him, I feel this, you move me, and that's addictive. Now, let's talk about gratitude. Emotional expression through gratitude is one of the most powerful ways to trigger attraction. When you say, I really appreciate that you took the time, or that gesture made me feel special, you're not just being polite, you're feeding his masculine drive to provide, to give, to protect. And the more you express gratitude, the more he feels significant. And significance is what men crave at their core. But here's the catch. Emotional expression has to be genuine. It's not about exaggerating or faking it. It's about tuning into how you truly feel and letting that show. If you're excited, don't hide it. If you're touched, don't downplay it. If you're hurt, don't pretend you're fine. Authenticity is magnetic because it builds trust. And without trust, attraction fades fast. Imagine being with someone who never expresses what they feel. You're always guessing. Do they care? Are they happy? Are they even engaged? That uncertainty is exhausting. But when you're with someone emotionally expressive, you know where you stand. You feel safe because they let you into their inner world. And that safety is what allows attraction to grow into love. And here's what's truly inspiring. Emotional expression is contagious. When you open up, when you laugh fully, when you share gratitude, when you show vulnerability, you give permission for the other person to do the same. You create an atmosphere where both of you can be real, and that's when the deepest connections are made. So remember, this attraction isn't built by being silent, guarded, or perfect. It's built by being real, by allowing yourself to feel fully and express those feelings openly. Men don't crave a woman who hides behind a mask. They crave the woman who makes them feel alive through her authenticity, her vulnerability, and her emotional fire. Emotional expression doesn't just make you attractive, it makes you unforgettable. Because at the end of the day, he won't remember every detail of what you said or did, but he will remember the way you lit up when you were happy, the softness in your voice when you were touched, the way your laughter filled the room, and the vulnerability that made him feel trusted. That's the kind of energy that lingers. That's the kind of woman he doesn't just want in the moment, he wants for life. Mystery is not about playing games. It's not about manipulation, disappearing acts, or confusing someone until they chase you out of frustration. True mystery is about depth. It's about having layers that a man can't uncover all at once. It's about being the kind of woman who reveals herself slowly in ways that keep him curious, engaged, and hungry to know more. Think about it, everything in life we value has an element of surprise, of discovery. When you start reading a new book, you don't want to know the ending on page 1. The beauty is in the journey. Every chapter reveals a little more. That's what keeps you turning the pages. Attraction works the same way. If a man feels like he knows everything about you in the first few weeks, there's no thrill left, no curiosity, no reason to lean forward. But if he senses that you're a woman of depth, a woman who keeps surprising him, a woman he could spend years with and still not reach the bottom of who you are, that's when you become unforgettable. Mystery and surprise live in the little things. For example, maybe you always laugh at his jokes, but one day you challenge him, tease him back, make him work harder to earn that laugh. Or maybe he thinks he knows your type of movie, but you surprise him by suggesting an action flick he never thought you'd enjoy. Those small shifts keep him on his toes. They remind him that you're not a predictable script. You're a story unfolding. Let's put this into a daily life scenario. Imagine you're dating someone, and every time you meet, you talk about the same things: work, daily routine, surface level updates. After a while, the conversation becomes flat. He feels like he has you figured out. Now imagine instead you surprise him. One night you bring up a childhood dream he never knew about, or you share a new hobby you just picked up, or you tell him a funny story about a trip he never knew you took. Suddenly, his mind lights up. He realizes, whoa, there's so much more to her than I thought. That realization is gold. It keeps his attraction alive. And here's the key: mystery doesn't mean withholding everything. It means revealing yourself in layers, like unwrapping a gift one piece at a time. A man doesn't need to know everything about you immediately. In fact, if he does, the excitement fades. But when you allow him to discover you slowly, you give him the thrill of the chase, not because you're running away, but because there's always something new to uncover. Surprise is another element of this habit. Think about the times in your own life when someone surprised you, whether it was a small unexpected compliment, a spontaneous date, or a simple gesture that showed thoughtfulness. Didn't it feel electric? Didn't it make you remember that moment more than all the predictable ones? Men feel the same. When you show up with energy that surprises him, maybe it's a witty remark he didn't expect. Maybe it's showing interest in something he loves, even though it's not your usual thing. Maybe it's just revealing a side of yourself he hasn't seen before. You stand out, because predictability is safe, but it's not magnetic. Now, let's clear this up. The mystery doesn't mean being distant or cold. It's not about making him chase shadows. Real mystery is about being present but unpredictable. It's about keeping your essence alive and never giving it all away too soon. Imagine he's telling you about his favorite sport, and instead of nodding and moving on, you surprise him by challenging him. Really? You think that's the best team? Convince me. Suddenly, you've added play, banter, and surprise to the moment. He didn't expect it, and that's why it stays with him. Another daily life example. Maybe he thinks he knows your style, but one day you show up in something completely different, sporty instead of elegant, or bold instead of soft. That small shift makes him realize you're not one-dimensional. You're versatile, and that keeps him intrigued. Men love to feel like they can't fully pin a woman down, like there's always another angle, another depth, another surprise waiting. Mystery and surprise also come from having your own life. When you're invested in your passions, your friendships, your growth, you naturally bring new experiences to the table. You become the woman who says, I tried salsa dancing last week, or I just started learning photography, or I booked a trip with my friends. That independent energy is magnetic because it keeps him curious. What will she do next? And here's the truth. When you embody mystery and surprise, you keep attraction alive, not just in the beginning, but long term. At the start of a relationship, everything feels exciting because it's new. But as time goes on, routine creeps in. That's where most people get stuck. But the woman who keeps revealing new layers of herself, the woman who surprises him with her curiosity, her playfulness, her unexpected sides, she keeps the relationship fresh. He never feels like he's completed you, because you're not a puzzle with an ending. You're a universe he's still exploring. Men don't want a woman who gives everything away instantly. They want the thrill of discovery. They want the challenge of peeling back layers. They want to feel like they're continually learning, growing, and being surprised by you. That's what keeps their attention. That's what makes them stay. So remember this: mystery isn't about hiding. It's about revealing yourself with intention. Surprise isn't about shock value. It's about keeping life fresh, playful, and alive. When you carry these qualities, you don't just attract him, you keep him captivated. You become the woman he can't stop thinking about, the woman he can't quite figure out, the woman he wants to know more of every single day. And that kind of attraction doesn't fade. It grows stronger, deeper, and more powerful with time.